While suggesting you picture those parents who are way too involved in their kids' sports, standing on the sidelines yelling at their child or at the coach, I want to tell you the most extreme story you'll ever hear about Marv Marinovic, or more accurately, the story of his son, Todd Marinovic. Todd was simply born to play football. Well, maybe born isn't the right word. Todd was built to play football. He was born on July 4th, 1969, into a very unconventional family in California. His mother, Rudy, was a very talented college swimmer, but she eventually quit to raise Todd under Marv's instruction. Marv himself was a football star and captain of his local college team, leading them to a championship. He had enormous potential to make it to the NFL, but doubts started to arise because he behaved violently toward his teammates. He once elbowed someone in the head during practice. Ultimately, because of his rather violent nature, he was picked pretty low in the draft by the Oakland Raiders. When he got to the NFL, he wanted to be the biggest and the strongest, and he trained extremely intensely, which eventually caused his body to break down after 3 years in the league. Because of his failure, he went to study for a bachelor's degree in physical training, and eventually became a very talented coach. Very quickly, he became the head strength coach for the Oakland Raiders, and over time, he worked with other teams until he opened his own research institute for physical training. He dedicated a huge amount of effort to learning how to build the perfect athlete in the perfect way, and much of his knowledge from the 1970s is still used today. And into all of this, Todd was born. There are many parents who will do anything to make their child the most successful athlete. But then there's Marv. Marv saw in Todd the perfect opportunity to apply all the knowledge he had accumulated over the years to his own son and create the perfect athlete, the greatest football star of all time. And he said more than once in interviews, the question I asked myself was, how much could a child develop if you gave him the perfect environment? Let's now see just how perfect that environment really was. Training at the Marinovic house started very early, and already at the age of 1 month, Marv put little Todd through stretching and resistance exercises. The moment Todd started teething, Marv gave him frozen kidneys to gnaw on and get stronger, and as soon as he could stand, he put him on unstable surfaces. Marv's training sessions were so intense that by Todd's 4th birthday, he was already making him run 6.4 kilometers. Throughout his childhood and well into adulthood, Todd was forbidden from eating white flour, sugar, or any kind of processed food. In fact, ever since he was a baby, Todd's diet consisted only of raw vegetables, chicken, and unpasteurized milk. Because of all these dietary restrictions, even when he went to birthday parties, Todd would bring his own food and couldn't eat cake or any of the food served at those parties. In reality, Marv controlled Todd's life to such an extent that he forbade him from listening to any music that wasn't classical or from watching cartoons. "I know I'm a tyrant," Marv said in an interview, "but that's what it takes to succeed. Most people think the most important thing in their lives is their job, the stock market, or something like that. For me, it's the kids." By the time he reached elementary school, Todd was already trained in running, weightlifting, throwing a football with both hands, and kicking with both legs. Besides these workouts, Marv also sent his son to regular basketball, soccer, and baseball practices. And once, after one of Todd's basketball games, Marv wasn't satisfied with his performance, so Todd simply ran home 8 kilometers behind his father's car. By the age of 9, Marv had Todd playing with 12-year-olds, a very significant age difference at that stage. In that group, Marv had already convinced the coach to let Todd play quarterback. His experiment was progressing, and despite all this, the violence at home continued, and it seemed that the violence had nothing to do with Todd's performance on the field. Regarding the violence at home, Todd shared this a few years later. "The only one who can fix this is me. I just have to play better." When Todd reached 7th grade, Marvin decided that by 10th grade, he was going to be the quarterback of the local high school team. Something that had never been done before. A 15-year-old kid as the quarterback for 17 and 18-year-olds. And to achieve this, they simply increased the intensity of every training session they did, to the point where Marvin was with Todd 12 hours a day. At this point, Marvin and Trudy got divorced, and Todd, following his father's instructions, moved in with him. At this stage, with Marvin surrounding Todd from all sides, Todd was looking for some way out, some opportunity for self-expression. He started drawing, searching for escapism, and at this stage, he also began using marijuana. The fact that a 15-year-old was smoking cannabis wouldn't have shocked anyone in Southern California at that time. But because of the media buzz around Todd and Marvin's experiment, there was a lot of chaos surrounding him. You have to understand, by this point, Marvin and Todd had already become a kind of local celebrities. They appeared in magazines under the headline, "The Kid Who Never Ate a Big Mac." The media was very excited about Marvin's training methods to create the perfect quarterback, and even nicknamed him Robo-Quarterback. Todd's abilities were not exaggerated at all. He broke many high school records and was named Athlete of the Year. Universities were chasing after him, and in the end he chose, of course, the university where his father studied, Southern California. There, by the way, he received a scholarship for art. Of all things, art. The move to university was actually the first time Todd was free from his father's constraints, and then he started skipping classes and going to parties. But the field was still far from being left behind, and he almost broke the completion record with 61.4%. In the second season, though, things were very different. Todd skipped a lot of classes, the coach found out and suspended him, and overall the team didn't play that well. It seemed that without pressure from Marvin, Todd suddenly didn't really want to play football, and during that time he was even arrested for possession of cocaine. It was exactly at this stage that people began to discover Marvin's brutal training methods, and very quickly he went from being the father who created the perfect star to the worst father in the history of sports. But Todd decided that he wanted to keep playing football, and in order to clear his name ahead of the draft, he checked himself into rehab. Despite the concerns, in 1991 he was selected 24th overall by, yes you guessed it, the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders manager thought that picking Todd would be some kind of wake-up call, and that he'd get his act together, but Todd's mind had long since left football. Very quickly, Todd learned the rules of the drug tests and started gaming the system, mainly by using his teammates' urine. During this period, Todd admitted that he used cannabis, cocaine, and sometimes even heroin. Toward the end of the season, Todd messed up and used the urine of a teammate who had drunk alcohol beforehand. In the end, the Oakland Raiders sent him to rehab again. In his second year in the league, the team let him start several games, but he kept messing up again and again. That same year, the league's rules on doping tests changed and he switched to using LSD. And at the beginning of his third season, he was caught for the third time in doping tests, and according to league rules, that meant a 1-year suspension. For the Raiders, that was the last straw, and he was immediately released from the team. And so, just before turning 24, Todd Marinovich found himself without the one thing that had defined him all those years: football. It turns out that the structure and discipline of team training was the only thing keeping him grounded, and after losing it, he became addicted to increasingly harder drugs. During that period, he played football in lower leagues or in the World League just to fund his addiction. And the truth is, even there he showed flashes of brilliance, once throwing 10 touchdown passes in a single game and breaking a record. Years later, he said he could have thrown 15, but he was a bit dizzy from heroin. That same year, he was also named Rookie of the Year in the World League, and the very next day he was arrested for possession of heroin. All in all, between 1991 and 2016, he was arrested more than 20 times and spent time in rehab 6 times. For pretty much that entire period, he was homeless, while still playing football in lower level leagues. But the good news is that since 2016, Todd has been completely clean, and a few years later he shared how he overcame his addiction. My recovery process is about being honest with my childhood traumas, admitting that I was hurt. From 2016 to 2019, he coached in various small children's leagues. Thank you. And finally, he left to pursue his true love: painting. In December 2020, he passed away from cancer after spending the last year of his life clean. Todd, up until then. When Todd was asked how he managed to care for Aviv so many years after he had abused him, he answered like this: "I love him. I know his intentions were good. He's just a sick man." Today, Todd is already 56 years old, he is clean, and he runs an art gallery in Orange County, California. Find something you love. It doesn't matter if it's cool. If it's important to you, find the time to do it out of passion, not obligation. There's no doubt that Marvin loved Todd, and he thought what he was doing was for his own good, but in the end, he put a 1-month-old baby into an experiment just because he was the researcher's son. I'll finish with the words of Yaakov Gilad, composed by Yehuda Poliker. Grow up and become a general, become an astronaut, and fly to space. You didn't even want to be a soldier, or just be like everyone else when you grow up, but no one ever asked you. Good luck.